beloved child, do not let this moment slip by as just another ordinary day. Do not be quick to dismiss the stirrings that are taking place in your heart. I am intervening to keep you from an unnecessary loss, not the loss of possessions, but the loss of a downpour of favor you do not even realize you are on the verge of. The miracle is very near, so near that with a single word of obedience the door will open. But if your heart remains asleep, then, even when radiant light shines upon you, you will still turn your face away as though you had seen nothing at all. I have been knocking at the door, not just once, but with thousands of beats in the very moments you called random. You thought you were merely living an ordinary day. Yet in truth you have been walking right up to the threshold of an entirely new season of your life. If you still choose to remain asleep, then do not ask why the miracle has passed you by without ever touching your heart. Sleeper, wake up, rise from among the dead, and Christ will shine upon you. Ephesians 5:1-4. There are times when I do not need to work earth-shaking miracles. I only need you to recognize the gentle signals I am sending. Yet you have grown so accustomed to the noise of the world, the motivational videos, the quick-fix healing phrases, that my word has been placed in the same drawer as a random inspirational talk. I have sent you a word that was for the right time and the right season. But because your mind was busy searching for the next new thing, that word did not even have time to take root before it was swept away like a fallen leaf at the side of the road. There are seeds that are sown, but they can only grow in the soil of obedience. If you keep listening as though you were merely enjoying a pleasant song, without letting my word collide with the reality of your life, then you yourself are writing the indictment I once heard, but I never entered in. I do not only want to change your circumstances, I want to set your mind free from a limited mindset. I am speaking of breakthrough, of crossing boundaries, of stepping into what no one ever dared to believe. Yet you keep repeating the same sorrowful refrain. What could someone like me ever do? Who would ever help me? Every time I bring you closer to the door, those old confessions pull you back again. Do not be surprised when you find that you can no longer truly believe or expect anything, for you have grown used to placing your faith in circumstances instead of in me. I have changed the rules of the game, but you keep playing by the old ones. And the tragedy is this: while the spiritual battle has already been arranged by me for victory, you choose to withdraw, simply because you do not realize that I am going before you. I know there have been times when you prayed much and still saw no result. I know you have been disappointed, abandoned, unheard, and you have said in your heart, better not to hope, so I will not have to be disappointed. You think that is wisdom, but in truth, it is a shell that imprisons your soul. For blessing cannot rest upon a heart that has shut itself. I have removed certain people from your life, not to leave you isolated, but to clear the way for what is new. Yet if you keep misreading my intent, seeing every shift as rejection, you are turning what I have arranged into a wound. You call it self-protection, but in reality, it is only a way of hiding from faith. If you do not break that shell, then even when the new season comes, the fruit of blessing will still fall outside the gate of your heart. My beloved, I do not blame you for liking to hear gentle, inspiring words. I understand that in a world with so much pressure and pain, your heart longs for something to soothe it, just enough to keep going. But let me say this, not to frighten you, but so that you can return to what is truly taking place. The blessing you are longing for has long been prepared by me. Yet my call has been wrapped by you into a beautiful phrase and stored away in the drawer labeled inspiration. You call it a nice quote, while I call it a command for life. What I speak is not only to comfort, but to direct, to save, to make a way. And if you listen only to feel better, but not to be changed, you are like a hungry person staring at a feast without stretching out your hand to eat. Do you remember there was a time when I spoke to Ezekiel, son of man? Eat this scroll. Then go and speak to the house of Israel. Ezekiel 3:1. I did not tell him merely to read it through, nor to copy it out in a pleasing form, but to eat it, to let the word become his very flesh and blood, his life, the power that drives his steps. Yet now, many of my children, including you, are only collecting my words as if collecting motivational quotes. You read, you like, you nod, you share, but you do not allow them to take root. And when the wind comes, as it always does, you fall. Then turn back and ask me, why did nothing change? Though I heard your word, it is not that you have not heard, but that you have chosen to listen as a spectator sitting in a performance, not as one standing at the threshold between life and death. You have been lulled to sleep by your own familiarity with the sound of grace. You hear so much, yet allow so little to truly live in your heart. I am never silent. Every morning you wake with a reminder. Every situation you face carries a call. But when your mind drifts away into your phone, your schedule, the things that only seem urgent, the seeds I sow find no place to rest. And as Scripture has warned, anyone who hears the word and does not do it is like a person who looks at his face in a mirror, sees himself, then goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. James 1:2-3-24. I see you move to emotion, even to tears, as you listen to sermons or read Scripture, yet soon afterward you live as though you had never known me. I am not angry, but I am grieved, because the miracle I long to work does not lie in a passing feeling, but in sustained surrender. You must discern this. My child, emotion is the result of my touch upon the surface, but obedience is when you allow me to plow the depths of your heart. If you only feel and do nothing, you are merely spending your emotions without bearing any spiritual fruit. And faith does not blossom from tears alone. It grows when it is nourished by action. Imagine a seed falling into the soil yet refusing to absorb water, to crack open, to die so that new life might spring forth. It will remain forever only a seed. In the same way, if you keep on hearing yet refuse to let me change your life, then my word, no matter how powerful, will lie motionless within you. That is why I say, it is a strange thing to have ears and yet not hear, not because they lack ears, but because they listen as though they did not. And, my child, I do not want that to be your story. I know you have often promised yourself that you would change. After each gathering, after each time of devotion, you said, "This time I will live differently." Yet you lost hold of your own promise. It is not that you are deceitful, but that you have not allowed me to touch the deepest layer within you, your will. When my word touches only your feelings, your heart may feel warmed, but when I touch your will, you must choose, and that is what frightens you. You fear losing your safe zone, fear letting go of what is familiar, fear steps that carry no visible guarantees. Yet, my beloved, it is precisely in the places without guarantees that I can reveal my glory in truth. Do not live as though you still have endless time to choose. There are seasons that do not return. There are words I speak that are right on time and for a specific moment. If you delay, it is not that I refuse you, but that the season has passed, and you will be left only with the memory of a word that once stirred your heart, yet was not strong enough to move your feet. I called, and you did not answer. I stretched out my hand, and no one paid attention. Proverbs 1:2-4. My child, do not be one who keeps the sound, yet lets the life slip away. Now I long for you to return, not merely to hear me once more, but to listen differently, to listen as a hungry person hearing the call to a banquet, as a lost traveler gripping a map, as someone on the verge of death craving one more breath. For in truth, the very moment you think you are standing in the midst of life may be when your soul is dozing at the edge of a spiritual abyss. Let my word awaken the part of you that is slowly growing cold. Do not let yourself live as someone who knows much about God yet does not live in Him. I do not need you to become perfect in a day. I only need you to begin to walk. Only this do not hear, and then stop there. Ask me, what must I do next, and I will show you. Begin with one concrete action. One small letting go. One honest prayer. It does not have to be grand. It only has to be real. And as you set out on that journey, step by step, little by little, I will do the rest. When you truly allow me to lead you, you will see that the things you once thought were just nice to hear were actually the prelude to a great season of breakthrough. And the very words that once passed over you like the wind will become the foundation on which a life is rebuilt, steady, strong, and unshakable. The sign that someone has truly been touched by my word is not how much they cry, but how they change direction afterward. And from that very quiet turning of your path, I will cause something new to sprout, a new season that no one ever imagined could come from you. My beloved child, that is what I have been waiting for. My child, I see you asking for a different life, fresh, strong, and fruitful. You long for me to move, to do something new, to open a season of breakthrough like the very heavens being unlocked, and I desire that as well. But I am the one who does not only touch circumstances, I also long to renew your mind from within. For if I were to set before you a new door while your thinking remains old, you would step through it wearing the tattered garments of yesterday and soon live as though nothing had ever changed. A new life cannot be contained in a heart still wrapped in old coverings, and that is what you have not yet understood. No one pours new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise, the new wine will burst the skins. The wine will be spilled, and the skins will be ruined. No, new wine must be poured into new wineskins. Luke 5:37-38. Those words still echo today. You may ask for new wine, but if your heart still clings to old ways of thinking, then that very limited mindset will shatter the freshness I long to give you. I see you often saying, I have nothing, who am I anyway, as if blessings are only for other people. I see you hearing about restoration and recompense. Yet deep inside your mind a quiet whisper says, not me. It probably won't be my turn. You long for a new life. But in your heart you still wear the label of a victim. Some of my children have been in my house for many years, yet still live as strangers. It is not because I have not invited them in, but because in their hearts they keep carrying the old story, the old gaze, the old voice. Like the elder brother in the parable of the prodigal son, though always at home, he still believed he had to work to earn love. My child, I have never told you that you must deserve love before you can receive it. I loved you when you were far away, when you were weak, when you could not even believe in yourself. But if you refuse to change the way you see yourself, you will continue to live beneath the truth I established for you from the very beginning. The deepest cause does not lie in your circumstances. It lies in the roots. Because you were once hurt, abandoned, disappointed, you have unconsciously built a life script. Nothing will really happen anyway. You speak this way to prepare yourself in advance in case of failure. But it also means you withdraw from the battle before it even begins. Each time I open something new, a door, a relationship, an opportunity, your inner world immediately starts checking. Do I have enough money? Will anyone support me? Am I worthy of this? And in that moment, The old mindset reinstalls its program. No, this isn't for me. My beloved, I do not blame you for those fears. I know where they come from. I have seen every time you were rejected, every word that made you shrink back, every mistake that made you condemn yourself. But let me say this, your past may teach you something, but it has no right to hold you captive. I do not write the next chapters of your life with old ink, and I do not pour victory into a spirit that has already surrendered. So, do not keep calling it personality or caution. You are unintentionally agreeing with something that contradicts what I am doing in your life. You may be thinking, but how can I change my old mindset? It has been with me for so long. I understand that. A mindset is not transformed by sheer effort, but by drawing near to me. Each day you dwell in my word. You will see how I think about you. Each time you worship, you will hear me remind you. You are chosen, and little by little, like someone removing layer after layer of old garments, you will step out of an outdated identity and put on the true self I prepared for you before the foundation of the world. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may discern what is my good, pleasing, and perfect will. Romans 1:2. I am preparing a door that no one can shut, but before I open it, I want to change the eyes with which you look at it. Otherwise, you will see that door with suspicion instead of faith. You will stand before a wide open way and still ask, can this be real? Then walk away, thinking you just avoided some kind of deception. You do not need a great, spectacular faith. You just need enough trust to believe that I do not play games of chance with your life. Like a bird whose wings have been wounded, you have grown used to flying low, but I am healing those wings. And when my wind begins to blow, you will have to decide, either spread your wings or keep clinging to the low, familiar branches of safety. I will not force you, but I invite you, because up there, in that higher place, you will see a larger picture where your story is no longer I survived, but I overcame. Breaking an old mindset is not a one-time event. It is a continual journey of choosing to believe what I say over what you have lived through. Whenever you find yourself stepping back, return to my word. Whenever you feel small, draw near to me. I am not offended by your slowness. I only ask that you do not stop, for as long as you keep moving, I can still perform miracles. And then, at some moment, perhaps in the middle of an unnoticed morning, or during a simple gathering, you will suddenly realize, oh, I don't think the way I used to anymore. That is the moment the door has been opened. That is the moment your new life truly begins. Not noisy, not showy, but steady and powerful. Because I am not only changing your circumstances, I am changing you so you can live fully in what I have prepared. I have never forgotten the sound of your silent tears on nights when no one saw you. I know each moment when you waited for something to change, only to quietly sink back into disappointment. And from those repeated letdowns, you began to build a shell. At first, that shell was for survival. But over the years, it became a prison. You told yourself, better not expect too much, so I won't be disappointed. You thought you were being realistic and wise. But in truth, you were allowing old pain to quietly shape your present faith. A wound that has not been healed does not disappear, it only changes form. It becomes a guarded look, a hesitance toward good things, a gentle refusal. I'm okay, but I see clearly that your heart has not been okay. You still long, you still dream, but you are afraid of placing your expectations on the wrong person, the wrong thing, the wrong timing, as you once did. And you do not realize that when you lock your heart to protect yourself, you also unknowingly lock out the very opportunities I am sending. My child, caution is not the same as shutting down. I understand that you do not want to be hurt again, but a heart that no longer knows how to hope is also a heart that cannot receive. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a desire fulfilled is a tree of life. Proverbs 1:3-1-2. If you stop hoping, you are also stopping truly living. For spiritual life is not merely breathing, it is expecting, waiting, and opening your heart to what I am doing. I know that because you prayed and did not see an answer. Now every time you want to believe, your heart quietly warns, careful, or you'll be disappointed again. You are teaching yourself to lower your expectations to lessen the pain, but you do not see that when you lower your faith, you also lessen your strength to hold on to the miracle. My blessing does not fall into the hands of those who only endure well, but into the hands of those who dare to believe again, even after failure. That is why faith is not a feeling, it is a decision repeated every day. Even though I see nothing yet, I still believe that my Father is at work. There are people I have removed from your life, not because you are unworthy, but because I clearly see they cannot go with you into the next season. Yet you interpret their leaving as one more abandonment. You withdraw deeper into distance, hide yourself in silence, and think you are being wise because you no longer trust anyone. I am not forcing you to trust any human being. I only ask that you do not shut your heart to me. For if you are no longer open to me, what in this world could ever move you again? Hidden bitterness does not shout, it whispers. It whispers, I must not be worthy. It twists the truth that I am protecting you and makes you misread it as punishment. It causes you to interpret every departure as judgment, every failure as proof that you are unloved. But, my beloved, I am not shaping you by what you have lost. I am shaping you by what still remains after the storm has passed. If you knew that I have wept with you in those darkest hours, you would understand I am not only the Almighty One, I am the one who is near. And if you allow me to step inside the shell you have built around your heart, I will not scold or rebuke you. I will sit beside you. The moment you can say, I am not okay, I will answer, I know, and I am still here. Do not let fear make you live as someone who has stopped loving, stopped hoping, stopped expecting. You were not created merely to exist, but to live in fullness. And you cannot live fully if your heart is always limited by what has happened before. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 4:3-19. I am bringing you closer to something new, a season where you no longer have to pretend to be strong, a season where old wounds no longer define you, but become the very place where I display the glory of my healing. But, to move forward, you must lay down the armor called self-protection, for I cannot fill a vessel whose lid is tightly sealed. Try opening your heart again. Just a small crack, and I will step in. Dare to hope again, not in people, but in me. And I promise, I will not let the trust you place in me be in vain. You have been wounded when you put your expectations in human beings, but I am not human. I am your Father, and I do not break my promises. And if you truly allow me to heal you, you will see something sweet unfold. The very wounds of the past will become a pathway for others to find me. You will no longer need to hide your history. You will use it as a staff to guide the way. For the place where you once broke will become the place where my power is revealed most deeply. My beloved, do not live hidden behind a shell any longer. I did not create you to live in a glass cage. I created you to be a light, shining out from within wounds that have been redeemed. And that light, once it is turned on, will prepare the way for the things I am about to do next in your life. My child, have you ever wondered why I do not answer the moment you pray? Why? For some of the things you beg me for, I remain silent. You call it waiting. Delay. even being forgotten. But to me, it is an essential part of the way I shape you. I am not slowing anything down. I am simply not allowing you to step into a new season until your inner strength is ready to carry what I will entrust to you. For what I give is not meant only to make you momentarily happy, but to make you grow steady and mature. That is why the years you consider lost or confused are in fact the time when I have been quietly laying each foundational stone. Do not be quick to despise the years that seem useless. In my eyes, not a single moment is wasted when you remain in my presence. You may feel as though you are moving in circles, delayed in a maze with no way out. But, my child, the detour in your eyes is the training ground in my hands. There I trim away what is unnecessary. I teach you perseverance. I awaken gratitude within you. And above all, I lead you to know me. Not merely the things I give, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for peace and not for harm, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29:1-1. My child, you often wish, if only I had not gone through those failures, if only I had not lost all those years. But today, I say to you, the very chapters of your life you want to erase are the most important parts in shaping you into a witness with spiritual authority. The nights when your tears fell, I gathered them. The prayers you could not even put into words, I heard every one. And each drop, each whispered plea has not disappeared. They have sunk deep into the soil and will, in due season, sprout. Not every seed germinates in the same season. But if you keep holding on in faith, what you have sown in the dark will blossom in full splendor in the light of day. You may not see clearly what is happening, but you are not abandoned. At times, in my silence, I am working more than ever. Behind the scenes, I am connecting people, circumstances, and resources. I am opening pathways where you saw only dead ends. I am untangling knots that, if placed in your hands, you would not have the patience to undo. All I ask is that you keep your heart tender and do not let waiting ferment into bitterness. For if bitterness seeps into your heart, you will walk right through a season of miracles without even recognizing it. I have not forgotten what you have offered me, whether it was time, tears, or choices that others could not understand. I have seen each time you quietly let go of something you loved simply because you trusted that I had something better, and you thought nothing happened afterward. But you do not know this heaven is not noisy, yet it never forgets. Beloved, do not forget this one thing: with the Lord 1 day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as 1 day. 2 Peter 3:8. Patience does not kill a dream. It brings that dream to ripeness in its appointed season. I want you to understand this. I do not measure your success by speed, but by the depth of your faith. If you can trust me in the silence, if you can remain steadfast when no one understands you, when no one comforts you, then when the season of breakthrough comes, you will not merely be a receiver, you will be a keeper. For the sweet fruit I have prepared for you is not meant for momentary consumption, but to nourish your whole life and the generations to come. If you pick the fruit too early, it will be bitter. But if you are willing to wait until the proper season, it will not only be sweet, it will be abundant. There is one thing I never want you to forget: your past cannot ruin the future I am building. But if you despise your past, if you are ashamed of where you have been, you are also rejecting the very work I have done in you. For it is precisely those scratches that form your unique fingerprint in my kingdom. The very places where you once stumbled are where my power is displayed most clearly. I do not need you to be flawless before you can enter a new season. I only need you to be brave enough to call those former years by a new name: holy ground, the place where I was with you. And my child, It is precisely when you become grateful for the seemingly barren days that you will not step into harvest season with greedy hands, but with an understanding heart. Then you will no longer seek only the sweet fruit. You will be willing to carry the responsibility of tending the whole field. And that is what distinguishes someone who is merely blessed from someone who lives as a channel of blessing. There is something I need you to consider, seriously. The blessings I give you are not only for you to feel, but for you to walk in. More than once I have drawn near and touched your heart in a time of worship, a moment of prayer, or a scripture suddenly coming alive from worn pages. In those moments your eyes filled with tears and you cried, "Amen. I receive it." Yet only a few days later your heart drifted back to the old patterns, the old ways of thinking, the old lifestyle, as if that encounter had never happened. You thought I touched you so you could feel something. But in truth, I touched you to awaken a decision. My beloved, faith does not grow up through emotion. It matures through obedience, small, quiet, yet steadfast. Gatherings can wake you up, but only steady steps can truly lead you. I do not deny feelings. I myself created your heart with the capacity to be moved, but it grieves me when you stop there. Not everyone who says to me, "Lord, Lord," will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. Matthew 7:2-1. Obedience is not usually a grand gesture. Sometimes it is simply turning off your phone 15 minutes earlier to pray, choosing to forgive while your feelings still ache, remaining faithful to do what is right even when no one sees. You say, "I am ready to follow the Lord," yet you refuse to step beyond the boundary of your old habits. You say, "I want a new life," yet you will not release the toxic relationship that is gripping your soul. If you do not dare to make real decisions, then no matter how strong your emotions are, they will fade away. I know you do not want to live superficially. I know that deep inside you long for a life of meaning, influence, and depth. But that does not come from listening to yet another good sermon. It comes from doing what I already spoke to you before. How many words have I given you that you have left lying there? How many times have I urged you? Start writing. Go and make peace. Cut that off. Share this with someone, yet you still wait, still delay, still ask, "Lord, are you sure?" True blessing is not found in the feeling of being touched, but in letting that blessing flow through your life. If you keep it only for yourself, it will stagnate and turn into apathy. But if you let it flow through your words, your lifestyle, your acts of service, you will become a channel that never runs dry. Whoever believes in me, as the scripture has said, rivers of living water will flow from within them. John 7:3-8. Do you see it? What I do in your life is not just so that you can feel good, but so that others may see me through you. You are a living testimony, a signpost, a lamp shining for those who are lost in the dark. But if you continue to live as before, protecting your image, afraid of mistakes, avoiding the truth, others will only see you as fortunate, not as pointing to the giver of every blessing. And I did not create you merely to be a good example. I formed you to be living proof of supernatural restoration. There is a very sad tragedy I see in many of my children. They long to be touched, to be healed, to be lifted up. But when I do lift them, they go on living as before. They still choose to hide, refuse to speak up, refuse to stand and testify, refuse to live with the influence I have entrusted to them. It is like the main character in a wondrous story choosing to live as a minor role. And my child, that is not the story I have written for you. I am writing a masterpiece, and you are at the very heart of that story. But if you will not step out of your comfort zone, if you keep clinging to your safe shell, then all I can do is stand and wait for you to bravely step into your true role. Being touched is not enough, you must step in. Being healed is not enough, you must become one who brings healing to others. Being saved is not enough, you must become the arm that draws others out of the net of sin and despair. And my child, when you dare to live as a flowing stream, however small, however clumsy, however often you have stumbled, I will pour into you more than you can imagine. For I am not looking for perfect people. I am looking for those who dare to go on, who dare to give themselves fully, who dare to live honestly. And now, having walked through each layer of my words, from merely hearing without doing, through mindsets bound in chains, through invisible wounds, then through long seasons of waiting, and finally to the challenge of truly stepping out, I ask you, are you ready to live the life I have prepared for you? For right now before you lies an entirely new season of life. And the door is already open. Only one thing remains, step in, my beloved one. In every breath you are taking right now, a reality is quietly shifting, not because you stirred it up, but because I have already begun the work. That stirring in your heart, that bright longing within you, is not a passing emotion or a fleeting spiritual illusion. It is an echo from heaven, my answer to all the years you have walked faithfully, even when your heart did not understand and your eyes could not see. It is the gentle reminder of the Holy Spirit that you are not deceiving yourself when you believe for something greater. I do not make promises for you to keep them only as memories. I speak in order to fulfill. I begin in order to complete. And now you are standing at the border of something miraculous, not merely a new season, but an entire context of life being completely transformed. My child, when I bless you, I do not consult your circumstances. I do not open doors based on human logic. I do not wait for you to qualify according to the standards of this world. I open because I am Lord, and when I decide to move, what everyone once called impossible, what you yourself thought was far out of reach, will come as swiftly as a wind, not to overwhelm you, but to prove that the one in whom you place your trust is worthy of your wholehearted dependence. You have lived long enough in limitation, and you know it. You have grown used to waiting, used to being refused, used to silent closed doors, until deep inside you have formed the habit of quietly saying to yourself, perhaps it is still not yet time. But I come today to tell you this is not delay, this is unveiling. You have passed through the season of sowing. You have outlasted the winds. Now is the time for you to see the rains of blessing released. What I do does not come from the noisy places. It does not need the approval of those around you. Blessing does not require applause to begin. It comes from the quiet depths, from the place where you and I have made covenant, from the room where your tears have fallen in secret, from the moments you whispered, Amen, and saw nothing happen. Do you think I have forgotten those small prayers? No. They are kept as a precious fragrance before my throne. And now, every word you have cried out, every hidden sob, every step taken in faith, whether trembling or steadfast, I am using to weave a picture no one could have imagined. I have seen you endure while others passed ahead of you. I have seen you guard your heart when no one noticed your labor. Many times you have sat in the shadows, watching others step into the light, and yet you kept your peace, without envy, without complaint. And I, the righteous one, have never overlooked anything. No act of faithfulness is ever wasted. No expression of faith is ever forgotten. Everything in which you have obeyed, small and invisible as it may be, is being recorded in my book. And when I give the command, restore, all that belongs to you will return. Not a single piece missing. Open your heart and receive. My child, this is not the time for analysis or doubt. This is the time to rise, to take off the old garments of caution, the fear of rejection, the habit of distrusting yourself. For what I am leading you into does not require you to be worthy by the world's measure. It requires only one thing that you are willing to follow. If you insist on waiting until everything is clear and every proof is laid out before your eyes, you will miss what I am already working in the unseen. Faith is not waiting until all is favorable and then moving. Faith is stepping out while your hands are still empty, simply because you know who is calling you. You often think you are not the chosen one. You have told yourself, surely God will use someone more capable than me. But I do not choose based on ability. I choose based on surrender. There are those stronger than you, smarter than you, with better backgrounds than you, but if their hearts are not tender, they will wander in circles, while you will walk straight into the center of my will, simply because you dare to believe that I do not make empty promises. You are the one I have watched over since before the foundation of the world. I have seen every stretch of your journey, including every failure. I did not choose you because you are flawless. I chose you because your heart has room for me to move. And so, my child, do not think that the blessing I give is only to make you happy for a moment. What I am releasing now is not just so you might be touched and then return to life as before. This is my confirmation you are being sent as an instrument that carries power from heaven. I do not only want to change your circumstances, I want to change the way you walk after you have been touched. I want your voice to carry weight in the spiritual realm, your eyes to hold a knowing that no book can give, and each of your actions to carry influence because they flow from obedience. From this moment on, every word you speak is no longer just to soothe yourself, but to set others free. Every place where you set your foot is no longer just to find a safe spot, but to establish spiritual territory. Every relationship you enter is no longer to fill an emotional gap, but is a link I have chosen so that you and they may together harvest what I have promised. This is no longer the time of waiting a little longer. This is the time for action. Not noisy, not rushed, but precise, step by step, word by word, decision by decision. Look back over the years you have walked. Some things seemed random, an unexpected encounter, a strange dream, a sermon you happened to hear. Yet all of them carried intention. Each point has joined into a single current. And now you stand at a great turning. It is not for repeating old cycles, but for breaking through. Do not shrink back because you feel you are not big enough yet. No one I choose is perfect from the beginning. I am the one who makes all things complete. You only need to be willing. I will strengthen you. I will open the way. I will fight for you in battles you cannot see. And once you have stepped in, remember this: you are not only one who has been touched, you are one who carries that touch wherever you go. You are not only a survivor, you are one who pulls others up from pits of despair. You are not only a receiver of favor, you are a river carrying it to dry and barren places. You are not only a witness, you are a sign of supernatural restoration in a generation that has lost its bearings. And that begins not with thunder and lightning, but with a simple yes whispered in your heart today. My beloved child, I forget nothing. Not one of your sacrifices is meaningless. Not one dark season is wasted. Everything is gathering into a great wave, and you are the bow of the vessel I am about to steer into new waters. Though the winds may rise, though questions and doubts swirl around you, I ask only that you guard your heart, protect your vision, and hold fast your faith. For what I have spoken, my own mouth will bring to pass. No one can stop it. No system can choke it. No power can overturn it. I am the God of completion. And now, if you feel your heart trembling within you, do not put out that flame. It is an echo from heaven. It is a confirmation that cannot be counterfeited. Let me lead you all the way. Let me write the chapter of your life you once thought would never exist. Let me show you that the one who thought they were merely passing by a miracle is, in truth, the very one I have chosen to carry that miracle for an entire generation. You are not simply living through a season. You are watching a promise take shape. And I, the one who began this good work, will also be the one who brings it to completion. For I am faithful. Now be truly still within your heart. Do not strain to hear me with your ears. Listen to me with the deepest part of your soul, where you have always known that something greater has been quietly calling you home. For there are things that cannot be understood if you look only with natural eyes. There are things revealed only when the soul bows low, lays aside all the noise, and lifts its gaze in faith. My child, this is no longer the time to hesitate. Certain realities have already been set in motion. Doors have been opened. Words have been spoken in the unseen realm, and I have sealed them with a mark no one can erase. I am not speaking of vague notions. I am speaking of specific designs, of plans prepared for you before you drew your first breath on this earth. Every good thing your heart longs for: restoration, rest, freedom. Commissioning already has clear form within my heart. They are not merely ideas, not passing moments of inspiration, but destiny woven from eternal wisdom. I have kept these things in the spiritual realm until the day you were mature enough to step into them. Not because I am withholding, not because I forgot, but because I love you too much to give you what you do not yet have the strength to steward. If I were to place a sword in the hand of a child, that child would be wounded by the very weapon it holds. In the same way, the blessing I have prepared for you is great, but I have waited for you to become a faithful guardian of it. And now I speak to you with the urgency of this hour. That moment has come. Not tomorrow, not next year, but today, when your heart knows clearly that you no longer wish to live in old cycles, no longer wish to return to a half-hearted life, no longer wish to be one who is touched, yet never transformed. Do not think that faith is only a strong emotion in your chest. Faith is a venture of the whole life. Faith is a declaration that refuses to retreat. Faith is daring to step forward when every sense tells you to stand still. You cannot truly say you receive while your mind is still chained to old patterns of thought that you are unworthy, that it is not yet time, that this is only a passing feeling. No, the words I speak do not come to give temporary relief. They come to raise a person up, to lift them from the ashes and set their feet upon solid rock. So each time you say, I receive, I desire that it be a deeply rooted word, a firm assurance arising from the conviction that I do not play with my promises, that I do not tease you with beautiful words, that I do not stir hope only to shut it down. Every word I speak carries creative power, and if you nod in faith, that word will begin to work within you like yeast working through the dough. You know, not everyone is given a moment like the one you have right now. Some spend their entire lives longing for just once to hear me speak directly, just once to feel the movement of heaven touch their life. But you have heard, not once, but many times, in your dreams, in sermons, in verses that happened to open before you, in songs that made your heart tremble. All of these have been ways I have repeated what I said from the beginning. I am calling you out. I do not force you, I invite you. But this invitation is not without a window of time. There are seasons that do not return. There are doors which, if you refuse to walk through, will close. Not because I have shut them, but because your heart will no longer be in the place to receive. Today, when you hear me say that everything is ready, do not hastily treat it as a beautiful figure of speech. See it as a holy reality that is seeking someone to cooperate with. Resources have already been sent down. There are people I have already stirred to stand in position, ready for you. There have already been encounters, connections, open doors for work. opportunities that seemed random in truth. Nothing is random at all. All of it is the outworking of a plan long ordained. But if you do not rise, if you keep hesitating, if you are merely moved and then let it pass, then it will be you, and no one else, who drops the very season I have labored to prepare. Step out. You do not need to understand everything. You do not need to see everything clearly. I am not calling you into the certainty of this world. I am calling you into trust in me. When Abraham was called to go to a land he did not know, he went because he believed. The one who called him is faithful. You do not need to be great in order to begin. But if you never begin, you will never see the greatness I have already placed within you. I do not need you to have everything in your hands. I only need you to open your hands. For open hands are the sign of a willing heart. And a willing heart is the place where blessing is poured out without ceasing. My child, if you have ever asked, "How can I know this is my time?" then the answer is, you will know it by the trembling within you. You do not tremble because you are afraid, but because your soul is recognizing that something great is calling. Sudden tears. The times your heart beats faster when you hear about a certain theme. The urgings you cannot explain. This is me touching the hidden part that I sowed long ago. It is the echo of destiny. It is the sound of a door opening. So now, be bold and declare, not with momentary emotion, but with a faith expressed in action. Say, I receive healing for my mind. I receive the grace of forgiveness to let go of regret. I receive the invitation to live a life no longer for myself. Declare with concrete decisions. Do not let being touched be merely a stopping point. Let it be the starting line. For from the moment you resolve in your heart, all of heaven begins to move. The whole sky shifts, not because your emotions are high, but because your heart dares to step into the place I have called you to. Do not wait until you feel strong enough. You do not need to feel anything at all in order to begin, for faith does not operate by feelings. Faith operates by obedience. If you are trembling, then tremble and still step forward. If you do not yet understand everything, then step forward and still believe. For every step you take is a step that pulls heaven and earth closer together. Every decision you make will unlock something that has been waiting for you for a long time. And when you walk in obedience, nothing will be able to stop my promises from becoming reality. Now I have set the road before you. No more fog. No more excuses. No more reason to delay. Heaven is knocking at the door of your heart, not to ask permission, but to invite you into what has already been made ready. If you want to know what it means to live in wholeness, to live with a freedom that is not pretend, to live as one who truly has a calling, then this, right here, is the time to begin. Do not turn back. Do not say maybe tomorrow. Do not wait for a more ideal moment. Now is the moment. The very instant you are living in is the intersection of grace and choice. If you agree, let your whole being declare, I will not only receive, I will step in. And when you do that, heaven will not stand still. You are not here by accident. And what you are hearing and sensing right now is not a meaningless coincidence. Every heartbeat within you, every quiet stirring in your mind is a response to an invitation that was arranged long ago. Do not think that just because today you opened a page in a book, played a video, or happened to scroll across a sentence that everything began from there. No, my child, it did not begin at that moment. Everything began with the one who created you, the one who wrote the story of your life with a nail-scarred hand. I know every step you take, every tear you have swallowed down, every night you stare at the ceiling and ask, Lord, are you truly listening to me? And I say to you today, right now, I not only hear, I have planned for this very moment when you sit here. Face yourself, face me, and hear this invitation, not with your ears, but with your spirit. And if you feel that some part of your heart is trembling, being stirred, that is not mere emotion, it is the awakening of what has always been inside you. I did not create you to live a mediocre life, only repeating, only surviving, only existing like a fragment in a dusty world. I created you to respond, to answer the call of heaven, echoing into this chaotic world. Every person on this earth has a sacred appointment, and this is yours. I have not come to frighten you, nor to force you. I have come to open your eyes, to pull you out of the land where you have lived too long in vagueness, procrastination, and endless loops with no way out. I have come to remind you that you were designed for something greater, deeper, eternal, not just for fleeting moments of being touched and then returning to the old life. You do not need to prove your worth to me, for I have seen it from the beginning. But you do need courage to accept this. It is time to live differently. Not because you must do something spectacular to please me, but because you must step into the very place I have prepared, a place where your existence no longer revolves around fear, defensiveness, or old wounds, but around a mission ordained from eternity. You are a piece this world needs, and if you do not rise, do not step out, do not fully live your role, then something on this earth will be missing. I never create a soul just to be background in someone else's story. You were not born to be a spectator in your own life. You were born to live with purpose, to be a sign, to carry my glory to places where people have stopped expecting anything at all. Remember the seasons of life you have already walked through, the things you thought you could never overcome, the events you thought had shattered you beyond repair. I was there, not far away, but right beside you, silent, yet never absent. And through each of those times you grew, even without realizing it. You were being shaped, softened, prepared not to settle in safety, but to move into a new territory where I not only want to touch you, but also want to send you out. For this world is breaking, and there are people still sitting in darkness, waiting for someone to bring the light. Not someone talented, not someone perfect, but someone who has been broken and restored, someone who has wept, yet knows how to wipe away the tears of others. Someone like you. I want you to understand this. The greatest miracle is not that you are healed, but that after being healed, you dare to go and bring healing to others. The greatest blessing is not that you are lifted up, but that after being lifted up, you dare to stretch out your hand to pull others out of the pit. You are not the end point of the flow of grace. You are a branch of its river. And I want you to flow, not in order to lose, but in order never to run dry. When you live as a channel, you will find yourself filled in ways you never expected. The small obedience of today will open doors that no one can shut. All it takes is for you to say, Lord, I will not only feel, I will walk. You will never be alone on that journey. I am not only the one who calls you, I am the one who goes with you, even if the road is narrow, even if others do not understand, even if there are days you are so weary, you want to turn back. I do not change. My gaze on you has never faded. And though you have failed, turned away, hesitated, today I still call you, come, live differently, step into the true life, not a life driven by schedules and obligations, but a life led by the Holy Spirit, where each morning you rise knowing clearly, this is what I am living for today. And when you live like that, something miraculous will happen. You will no longer chase after recognition. You will no longer strive to have value in someone's eyes. You will no longer need temporary praise or the applause of the world. For in the depths of your soul, you will know I see you, I delight in you, and your reward is not found in the fleeting glory of people. but in the wholeness you feel each time you live in alignment with the true nature I formed in you from the beginning. Trust me, every word I speak has its appointed time of fulfillment. And if you are hearing these words, then this is your time. Not tomorrow, not when you are more settled, not when you feel more prepared. Now is the time to believe, to rise, to step in, for time does not wait, and I do not want you to miss the season of life you were destined to enter. You can turn back, you can delay, you can say later, but remember, sacred opportunities do not come many times. And if you miss them, it is not because I did not give, but because you were not ready to receive. Therefore, my child, lay down your reasons. Let go of the excuses that say, I am not enough. Stop comparing yourself to others. Stop looking at the past as a distorted mirror. Lift up your head. Look into my eyes. And let me say this once more, you are chosen. You are called. You have been entrusted with a part in the great plan I am carrying out on the earth. And no one can replace you in that role, not someone famous, not someone more gifted, not someone with more experience. It is you. If you are hearing this, let your heart soften. Let these words become holy fire burning within you, not only to warm, but to propel you. Hold nothing back. Do not say someday. Do not wait for circumstances to change. Do not wait for stronger emotions. All I ask is a willing heart. I will do the rest. For I am the one who has written every line of your life, and I am also the one who can write the next chapters. Radiant and extraordinary. If you will place the pen in my hand, my beloved child, now that you are standing at the threshold to which I have led you, I do not want you to hear one more word and then retreat again. What I am whispering into your spirit is not something vague or drifting like a passing breeze. This is a sacred moment, the boundary where old things have fallen away and a new reality is taking shape. Know that what you are sensing is not a random emotion, nor a self-made imagination you have persuaded yourself to believe. It is my voice resounding more clearly, more deeply, soaking through each hard layer of doubt and old habit. Do not rush past it as though it were only a brief moment. This is the time for you to pause, breathe deeply, open your heart, and allow what I am doing to truly take root. I am not merely saying something beautiful, I am shifting something deep within you. You do not need to understand everything in order to follow. You only need to trust that my voice is still there, as faithful as every morning when you awaken without my having to remind you that your very breath is moving by grace. What I am unveiling to you, if you guard it in your heart like one who keeps a precious seed in dry ground, will in its season sprout into life, not only for you, but for those who are living in the desert around you. My presence does not come to entertain your mind for a short while and then vanish. That presence is an invitation for you to live a life that is no longer half-hearted, no longer waiting and then disappointed, no longer leaning on fleeting emotions to measure your worth or your calling. You once believed that spiritual things were reserved for someone deeper, more worthy than you. Yet you never understood that I had already seen the resilience and rich potential in your soul long before you ever saw yourself. While you were still struggling in doubt and uncertainty, I saw what would blossom out of those years that seemed silent and barren. I know you are weary of living between two lands. On one side, the longing to live deeply. On the other, the drifting, limited reality, you see. But I have not called you to continue standing on that border. This is the time for you to choose to step fully in, not by perfection, but by genuine trust. I do not need you to know everything. I need you to believe that I know the way. Stop asking yourself why everything has not yet changed the way you expected. It is not because your faith is lacking, nor because I am too far away. It is because I will not change your circumstances without first transforming you. If I were to give you a new door while your mindset remains old, that very door would become a burden instead of a reward. I want you to learn to live in the spiritual reality before it becomes visible in your outward life. Let my word be the final standard for your thoughts, your decisions, and your beliefs, not the fluctuations of circumstances or the passing waves of emotion. Faith is not measured by the intensity of your feelings, but by the steadiness of what you choose to believe each day, even when there is no physical evidence to support it. There were times when you thought, if God is truly doing something, then I should feel it clearly. But I do not work only within the realm of your emotions. I work in depths where your feelings have not yet caught up. You once let your emotions lead, but now I want you to learn how to let faith go first. When faith goes ahead, emotions will follow. When my word is your compass, every inner shaking will no longer be able to throw you off course. Remember, even when nothing in you seems to be changing outwardly, I am still at work, often more powerfully than ever. It is precisely in those quiet seasons that I am laying the foundation for a reality that, one day, when you look back, will make you exclaim, I do not know how God did it, but He did. Stop measuring your own worth by how fast or how prominent the results are. I am not building a campaign meant to impress. I am building a life marked with an eternal imprint, and that does not come by running in haste, but by walking steadily. Every step you take in obedience lays a foundation that no storm can tear down. I have not called you to make noise, but to bring true change. And true change begins within from the moment you choose to obey my voice. Even when no one agrees, no one applauds, and no spotlight is shining. Live with my word as though it were the only truth you know. Practice speaking out what I have spoken to you, not to display spirituality, but to proclaim truth in a world twisted by fear and lies. Every time you open your mouth to declare what I have sown into your heart, you are releasing an echo in the spiritual realm, a sound that breaks heavy atmospheres and invites heaven to intervene. I do not only want you to keep my words hidden inside, I want you to proclaim them, live by them, act upon them, for it is through that faithful repetition that you will see my word become the very bones of your life. I know you have been shattered, disappointed, and have found yourself standing amid ruins, not knowing where to begin. But my child, from those very ruins I will build what has never existed before. I do not patch up the old, I create entirely new. What I am about to do will resemble nothing you have known. It will bear my mark steady, everlasting, and unable to be stolen. But you must be the one to take the first step. No one else can do that in your place. Stop waiting for the feeling of being ready. Feelings will never be enough. Only obedience is enough. And when you dare to begin, I will join together the rest. I will bring the right people, at the right time, through the right doors. But first, you must believe that you do not walk alone. What you feel today may seem fragile, but do not mistake it for weakness. It is the beginning of a different kind of courage, not loud, not flashy, but enduring and genuine. And that genuineness is the soil I most delight in to sow great things. My beloved one, keep this message close to your heart. Let it soak into every decision you make. When fear returns, remember that I am speaking. When doubt tries to regain control, remind your own heart that spiritual reality is where everything truly begins. No one can live your life in your place, and no one can believe on your behalf what I am doing, but I have already seen that you will stand, that you will live deeply, that you will become the person heaven has designed you to be, not because you are strong, but because you have allowed me to be your strength. And as you continue to walk, step by small step, I promise a day will come when you look back and realize that not a single word I spoke was in vain. Every word sown, every act of obedience, every time you chose faith over fear, all of it is weaving a wonderful tapestry that nothing on earth can imitate. That tapestry is your very life restored, sent out, filled to overflowing, and directly connected to the source of life that never runs dry. You no longer have to strive to be worthy. You have been called. You have been touched. You have been chosen. And now it is time for you to live like it, not to please others, but to honor the one who stepped into your silence and called it holy ground. My dear child, what is unfolding in your life is not merely a string of random events, nor is it a series of meaningless movements people call fate. It is I who am weaving every detail of the journey you once thought was barren. I am rearranging every seemingly unrelated piece to form a complete picture. There are things I do so quietly that even you yourself do not notice. But a day will come when you look back in awe and see that every silent moment, every lonely step, every time you thought you were falling freely, was in fact the moment my hands were lifting you the highest. Everything I do for you is not meant to soothe you temporarily, but to establish you firmly, so that when a new wind blows, you will not only be touched by it, but have the strength to hold it, to let it multiply, and to become a starting point for currents of influence that go far beyond your own borders. What I have planned for you is not simply that you get through hardship and then return to life as it once was. No, my child. What I am building is a life marked by resurrection power, a transformation so evident that others cannot help but say, there truly is a living one at work in this life. The changes I bring will not only heal your wounds, but will make you into a land of healing for others. That is why, before I fill your cup to overflowing, I must first cleanse it. Before you become a vessel that carries blessing to many, I must prune you and teach you how to hold that blessing within when there is no one standing beside you to comfort you. No applause, and no instant recognition from people. I am training in you a depth that no wind can tilt, and a foundation that no earthquake can bring down. In that process, you may feel that I am distant. There may be nights when you call to me, and it seems as though I do not hear. But do you know this? It is in that very silence that I am deepening your inner being, peeling away the layers of fear that have taken root from the past, drawing out the hidden struggles you have never dared to name. And when I have completed that work, I will come to you like dawn after a long night, not loud, not rushed, but certain, bringing light to everything. What I am about to do will bear a mark that no one can imitate, for it is the fruit of a unique journey between you and me. No one else can rewrite it, and no one can take it away. Do not think that the years of waiting are wasted time. They are the very season I have used to drive your roots deep into my presence. And because you chose to remain in me when nothing was attractive anymore, when there were no encouraging words and no instant results, I can now build something in you that will not be easily shaken. I am not looking for the one who burns the brightest in a single gathering. I am looking for the one who is most faithful behind closed doors, when no one is watching but me. And you have been there. You thought no one saw, but I saw. You thought no one heard your faint whispers, but every weary breath reached my heart like a trumpet sounding in heaven. Now that you have walked through the layers of fleeting emotion, I am calling you into another season, a place where you no longer live by feelings, but live by conviction. You will no longer have to beg for me to come, because you will know that I am with you. You will no longer be tossed about, asking, is this really true, but will declare to your own heart, I know the Father has spoken, and what he has said will come to pass. That transformation will not come from a powerful sermon or a tearful moment, but from the steady choices you make each day as you step out of delay, out of the sense of unworthiness, out of the habit of living for yourself, and begin to become one who carries my presence into places where hope has run dry. In that day, people will not only encounter someone experienced, but someone who carries a heavenly bearing, not because you are so gifted, but because you are so honest. I love truth, and when you live in truth about your past, about the weakness you once carried, about the slow but persevering journey you have walked, then the light within you will no longer be hidden. It will spread, gentle yet fierce, quiet yet decisive, and it will become a kind of anointing oil for souls whose faith has been drained. You were once the one searching for light, but now I am calling you to become a source of light, not in a flashy sense, but in this way wherever you set your foot, life will begin to spring up. Wherever you speak words of encouragement, discouraged spirits will rise again. Wherever you walk in steady faith, the doubts in others will begin to soften. I do not promise that you will always feel strong, but I guarantee this: if you obey, you will see me move. Emotion is a gift, but obedience is a door, and as you step through that door, a land you have never known will open before you. There, you will understand why I allowed you to walk through each former season of your life, not so that you would merely survive, but so that you would be sent. No longer only one who hears, no longer only one who asks for blessing, but one who carries blessing, one who keeps the flame for the next generation, one who is entrusted with what lies in the very depths of my heart. Do not wait until you feel completely ready to begin. You will never feel enough. I do not call you because you are perfect. I call you because you have gone through the fire and are still standing. It is precisely because you have fallen that you understand pain, precisely because you have waited that you understand hope, and precisely because you once lived only by feelings that you now know the true worth of a single step of obedience. So now, I am not asking you to do something grand. I am simply saying, keep walking, do the first thing you know is right, speak true words from your heart, begin to share your story, stop living for human approval, and surrender the rest of your life to something greater than yourself. My child, there is a marking taking place in the realm of the Spirit. Doors I once kept shut are swinging open. Territories that were once places of testing will become the very ground where you walk in authority. And the touch you once longed for will no longer be just a feeling, but a way of life. This is the season I am leading you into. Not noisy, not showy, but deep enough to make hell itself tremble when you whisper a prayer. You do not need to understand everything in order to obey. You only need to remember, I am your Father, and I will never call you to a place where my grace does not cover you. Rise up and step out from the mindset of having been touched once, and live as one who bears the mark of heaven every day. For from this day forward, you are no longer only one who is blessed, but one who carries blessing everywhere your feet may go. I speak to you not as a vague reminder, but as the voice of a father whose heart is stirring, knowing he is about to entrust you with something truly precious. I do not come to you with distant coldness. I come with the throbbing heart of the one who has prepared a portion of glory, tailor-made for your journey and your very nature. I want you not only to hear the content of these words, but to feel the rhythm of my heartbeat as I speak to you. I rejoice, truly rejoice, when I think of what is about to unfold before your eyes, and I long for you to begin rejoicing with me, even while your outward circumstances have not yet changed, even while you still cannot see the whole picture. Have you ever experienced this strange feeling on the outside? Everything seems normal. There is not even a sign of anything special. Yet deep inside there is an undeniable conviction that something great is drawing near, like a warm current smoldering in your chest. Not loud, but persistent. Not boiling over yet, never going out. You are busy. You are distracted. But whenever you become still again, that sense rises up once more. This is not random. Something from heaven is being arranged for me. You may call it a hunch. You may call it intuition. But I tell you this when it carries a deep inner peace and a gentle pull drawing you toward me. It is not just a vague emotion. It is my Holy Spirit touching your heart. The small flame in your spirit, that sense that something is coming, was not born just to stir your curiosity and then fade. It is a bell announcing the hour, a signal that the time I have prepared is ripening. You will not always hear it clearly, because the noise of life, of worry, of fear, of old lessons that once broke you can drown it out. But every time you pause, take a deep breath, and open your heart even just a little, you will realize that call is still there, not leaving you, not abandoning you. I do not play games with your faith, nor do I mock your hope. If I have allowed a certain assurance to be born inside you, it is because I am truly moving in your life. I know that there have been times in the past when you felt something similar, a vague expectation, a restlessness, and you thought, maybe this time the Lord will do something. Then time passed. Things did not unfold as you imagined, and your heart slowly closed. You unconsciously learned to lower your expectations so it will hurt less, to think more realistically, to stop dreaming so much. You wear that lesson like a cloak of protection. But in truth, it is also what keeps the morning dew of grace from soaking into the skin of your soul. You call it maturity, but there is a part of it that is fear, dressed up as logic. And I do not want you to go on living that way. This time is different. Not because your outward circumstances have changed much, but because I am wanting to renew the way you respond. The fire burning within you does not call you to sit and wait for a miracle to fall from the sky. It invites you to stand up and take a concrete step. I am not only whispering that I am at work, I am calling you to become part of that work. The miracles on their way are not meant for you to watch from the audience, but for you to stand on the stage of the very story I am writing. And to do that, you cannot keep treating the stirring inside as a passing emotional wave. You need to honor it as a solemn invitation from my own heart. Look back for a moment. How many times have I awakened you with gentle nudges to rise a little earlier, to pray, to open again the Bible you left unfinished, to take the initiative to reconcile with someone, to begin something I have reminded you of over and over, and you heard. You agreed, it made sense. But then you let other things crowd in, not because you are bad or hardened, but because you have grown used to letting the urgent swallow up the important. The world around you is always loud, demanding, rushed, while my voice remains soft and patient. If you only listen but do not respond, the flame within you will not go out at once, but it will slowly grow dim, and you will drift back into that dryness you so often lament. I do not want that flame to warm your heart for just a moment. I want it to become a lamp for the whole journey. The inner conviction that I am moving on your behalf must lead to something tangible in the way you live, the way you choose, the way you speak, the way you face tomorrow. If you believe I am opening doors, why do you still speak of yourself as one imprisoned? If you believe I am arranging a new season, why do you still make plans as if nothing good were set aside for you? If you believe I am doing more than you ask or imagine, why do you still hold on to such a small view of yourself and your future? I do not say this to condemn you, but so that you may begin to recognize the gap between what you sense in your spirit and what you live out in your life. The Holy Spirit does not come only to comfort, He comes to guide. He does not only ignite hope, He shows you specific steps to take. To you, those steps may seem very small: a phone call to say you are sorry, an amount of money to give, a schedule rearranged to make room for me, a decisive choice to leave an environment that is draining your soul. Yet those very small steps, taken in obedience, will open up a wide corridor of grace. You cannot say you believe in the miracle that is coming and still live as though nothing has changed. The fire within is calling you to bring your outward life into alignment, so that when what I have prepared arrives, you will already be in the right place to receive it and to carry it well. My beloved, I understand every reason for your hesitation. You are afraid you have heard me wrong. You are afraid of hoping in the wrong thing again. You are afraid of what others will think. Afraid you will step out and then stumble. I see all those fears, and I do not push you away because of them. I simply remind you gently, miracles are not reserved for those who have never trembled, but for those who dare to take trembling steps. Faith is not the absence of doubt, but the choice to listen to my voice above the voice of your doubts. When you say yes while your heart is still beating fast, in that very moment, you are handing me the right to intervene more deeply in your life, and I have never failed a heart that is weak, yet honest. Today I want you to learn to see the certainty within you as a guarantee sent from heaven. Not every desire comes from me, but when a prompting is accompanied by peace, by my word, by an invitation to draw closer to me, to love others more, to let go of your self-centeredness more, then you can rest assured that it bears the mark of my hand. From there, begin to ask me not, Lord, will you work a miracle for me? But rather, Lord, what do I need to do to cooperate with what you are already doing? That question will turn you from someone who passively waits into a friend who labors together with me. And how deeply it delights me to see you, not only longing to receive, but longing to take part. In truth, what I am preparing for you is not merely a doorway out of your present difficulties, but an entirely new depth in the relationship between you and me. After the miracle, I do not want you to return to your old mode of living only for yourself, closed off, endlessly circling the same familiar worries. I want the place where you have been touched to become the place from which you learn to touch others. From the comfort you receive, you will learn how to comfort others. From the place where you are lifted up, you will learn how to stretch out your hand to someone who is sinking. The flame within you is not only a signal that grace is coming, it is also a reminder that you are called to become a flame for your generation. I know that may sound overwhelming to you. You may be thinking, I just want to get my own situation sorted out. I hardly dare think about anyone else. Yet it is precisely because you have walked through long nights, through confusion and waiting, precisely because there were moments when you felt forgotten, that when I bring you out of that place, you will deeply understand the hearts of those who stand where you once stood. That is why I weave difficult chapters into your life, not to hurt you, but so that when glory comes, you carry not only a smile but also compassion. And on that foundation, I can entrust you with influence without fearing that you will use it to exalt yourself. Believe this, I do not waste anything that happens in your life. The years of waiting, the prayers that seem unanswered, the dreams that appeared to have died prematurely, all of them are held in my hands. When the flame within you flares up again, it is not only a sign of a new chapter, but also a confirmation that what you thought was lost, I am about to restore in a different way, deeper, more beautiful, more purposeful. What I am about to do is not merely to give you a good outcome, but to lead you into a new role in which your life becomes a channel through which I reveal my own heart. Therefore today, when you sense that gentle trembling in your heart, do not extinguish it with busyness, with doubt, with phrases like, I'll think about it tomorrow. Tomorrow is not always guaranteed. A season does not always linger and wait. I am always patient, but I also know exactly which moment is yours, and I am telling you that this moment is not an ordinary one. This is the time for you to answer that flame with a real decision. There is no need for display, no need to announce it to the world. All that is needed is a clear yes between you and me. My beloved, I have prepared glory for you. The flame is telling you that the miracle is drawing near. I have heard. I have seen. I have recorded every step you have taken, every tear you have shed, every sigh you have swallowed. Now I want to step with you into a new chapter, not with a blind leap, but with concrete steps of obedience, led by my Holy Spirit. Let that inner stirring be not only a comfort, but a signal that calls your whole life to change direction. If you dare to believe and obey, you will not only see the miracle, you will live inside that miracle and become a living testimony that when the Lord God speaks, He also brings His word to completion. And then, when you look back on this day, you will realize that the very moment you chose to listen to the flame within your heart, the moment you decided to answer the Father's voice with a concrete step, that was the day the door of the miracle ceased to be merely an image in a sermon and became an actual door opening before you. I am standing on the other side of that door, smiling, reaching out my hand and saying to you, "Come, step through, my beloved child. Be still in this moment and let your heart open like land awakened by the first rain of the season. For what I am about to do in your life goes far beyond what your understanding can grasp. Do not be quick to judge yourself by the weariness or the weakness you feel, for it is precisely in that softening that your faith is becoming strong in a way you cannot yet recognize. You do not realize that just a spark of faith, as small as a speck of gold dust, is enough to shake the spiritual heavens and unlock what I have prepared for you from before the foundation of the world. And now that shaking is taking place, not with loud noise, but with a silence full of authority, like the breath of dawn while the sun is still hidden beneath the horizon. I have watched every step you have taken, every moment you forced yourself to stand when you had no strength left, every time you clung to hope with nothing but your fingertips. And it is those very things that seem so small that have caused heaven to move in a new orbit. You have no idea that when you choose to trust me just a little more, even just a little, the link in the chain of the miracle shifts into a position it has never occupied before. And it is precisely when you think you are at your weakest that your faith touches the exact point I need in order to act. You often look at yourself and wonder why I chose you, why good things have been promised to you, why I want to pour fullness into your life instead of choosing someone else, someone who seems stronger, more worthy, more gifted. But you do not understand that I did not choose you for those reasons. I chose you because your heart has been shattered and yet still has room for me. You have been wounded, but your flame did not go out. You have collapsed, yet you still sought me in the dark. And I love you so much for that, for in the midst of all the blows the world has thrown at you, you have kept a fragile yet genuine flame for me. It is that very flame that has drawn my mercy closer, like a magnet drawing in light. I do not look at perfection, I look at truth in the heart, and your heart, though covered with the dust of heavy days, has never closed itself off to me. That is what moves me to act now. Not because of your merit, but because I am the one who keeps His word. And I set my love on you long before you knew how to call my name. What you are about to step into will not come from your own effort, not from strategies you have crafted, and certainly not from the relationships you have clung to in search of a way out. It will come from my hand as naturally as water finds the bed of its river, without forcing, without striving, without confusion, for true blessing never has to strain to exist. You have become so accustomed to things that must be fought for inch by inch, pieced together shard by shard, held tightly for fear of losing them, that when I tell you what is coming will open up by itself. It feels strange to you, even a bit unsettling. But remember this, when I push a door open, no one can keep it shut. When I give, no power can take it away. The only thing I want from you is not talent, but readiness to step across the threshold when it opens, readiness to leave behind old habits, old fears, old ways of thinking that once made you hesitate. I need you to cross over, not stand and watch. Do you know why the past years have seemed pointless, repetitive, and full of sighs? Because I have been laying the foundation, not yet building the house. A house can be put up in a few months, but a foundation strong enough to carry a whole family, even a whole generation, must be laid with time, with depth, with quiet refining. You thought you were forgotten, but in reality I have been pressing your roots deeper, so that when I lift you up, the winds of life will no longer be able to topple you. No one sees the work done in the dark. No one sees each layer I place beneath the ground. Yet, precisely because no one sees it, that part is the most important. Your years of waiting are not a barren wasteland, but a garden whose soil I have enriched with your sweat, your tears, and your prayers in preparation for a harvest where every tree is heavy with fruit. You only need to be patient for one more moment, for change is already touching the threshold of your house, and just as you sense, the atmosphere around you is changing. There are movements in the unseen realm that you cannot yet name, but your soul has begun to recognize their newness. You are not imagining it. It is the sign that I am making a way. I am gathering up things that seem to have fallen away and arranging them in a new order, where failure becomes raw material for victory, where loss becomes the ground of abundance, where old wounds become living evidence of my power to restore what seemed dead. Everything you think is ruined, I am lifting up and making beautiful. Every place in your heart that has been a dwelling of sorrow, I will turn into a spring of joy. Everything you have swept together and called ashes, I am breathing on to make into radiant beauty. Do you know why I do this? Because I want the whole world to see my imprint on your life and acknowledge that, if I were not the one at work, nothing could be transformed so powerfully. The days ahead will not only bring light to places that were once dark, but will also lead you into a place where honor replaces shame, laughter replaces tears, and harvest replaces barren, stony ground. You will stand in the very place where you once fell, and you will see me restore you so openly that even those who doubted you will be left in silent awe. And when you enter that season, remember this: everything that happens is not so that you can glory in yourself, but so that you may know more deeply the one who has held your hand all along the way. Even when you did not realize it, I will open doors. I will place new opportunities in your hands. I will bring you to the right places, the right people, at the right time. Your part is simply to walk forward with peace and gratitude, not looking back as though you were losing something, but moving ahead like someone whose destiny has just been placed back into their hands by the very Creator himself. My child, keep your heart at peace, for I am working far more than you realize. Keep your heart tender, for what is new needs a heart that knows how to receive. Be steadfast, for what comes from me will not be shaken. And above all, prepare your spirit, because you will not only step into blessing, you will become the one who carries blessing to those who are thirsting for hope, just as you once were. What I have begun, I will finish. What I have promised, I will bring to pass. And what you have been waiting for, you will see with your own eyes in your own life. All you need to do is believe, and step forward, and leave the rest to me. My beloved one, as you read these lines, I know your heart is trembling between the threshold of breakthrough and the remnants of old doubts. But let me whisper into the deepest place within you this truth: you did not arrive here by chance. And it is no accident that you are now standing at a turning point prepared for you before the dawn. You have passed through long stretches of days that seemed lost, seemed delayed, seemed forgotten. Yet no, nothing in your life has been adrift. Everything has remained under my watchful eye. Everything has been fitting together in an unfathomable design. You have learned how to endure when you could not yet see anything, learned how to be faithful in the small things, and learned how not to walk away from me even when I was silent. And now, you are beginning to step into the part of the story that I preserved until your heart was deep enough to hold something greater. This is not the season in which you must strain to pull miracles toward yourself. This is the time when miracles begin to run toward you, not because you are good enough, but because I am good, not because you are deserving, but because I am faithful to what I have promised. You do not need to twist and turn, trying to persuade me to act. I have already acted, long ago, in the silence of eternity, from a realm where time cannot control my purposes. What I have prepared for you is not scraps, not what is left over after I have blessed others. It is a portion measured out, poured out, set apart for one whom I have called by name. I am not the one who doles out little bits according to urgent need. I am the one who opens the storehouses of heaven and pours out until there is no room left to contain it. And now, this is beginning to be revealed. I know that the magnitude of what is coming may leave you bewildered. You look at your present reality, at your wallet, at your own abilities, at your reputation, at what you currently have, and you ask yourself, can this really be but my child? Do not use natural eyes to define a sacred act. What I am doing for you is not born of the earth, and therefore it does not need permission from human systems. When heaven has spoken, no power on earth can stop it. This promotion does not come from human cleverness, nor does it require human approval. It comes from me, the one who has seen your faithfulness in the dark, who has counted every step you took in weariness, who keeps my promises even though you have doubted many times. Do you remember the days when I knocked on the door of your heart with dreams that seemed too far away? I placed within you things that were larger than your circumstances. I breathed into you an image that did not match your present reality, not to toy with you, but to sow a seed. And through all these years that seed has been quietly taking root, even when you did not see it. It has been clinging to the soil of faithfulness. And now, as the season arrives, it will push up through the ground with a speed that will leave others astonished. But you will not be surprised, because I have spoken to you about this long ago. I have reminded you through every small dream, every verse of scripture that suddenly lit up, every time your heart stirred for no clear reason. I have never truly been silent. I have only been whispering. And what you are about to see is not only a shift in finances or position. What is about to happen will change the way you see me. There are aspects of who I am that you can only truly understand when you step into blessing. Until now, you have known me as the comforter, but soon you will know me as the giver, the one who provides. Until now, you have known me as your refuge, but soon you will know me as the door of breakthrough. You will begin to realize that I do not only heal, I restore. I do not only restore, I make all things new, and this will affect the way you see yourself. I am not lifting you up so that you can boast, but so that you may become a living sign of my mercy. Those who once saw you as a failure will not be able to explain the transformation that is about to take place, and they will not be allowed to say, "You were just lucky," because everything I am about to do will bear my fingerprints so clearly that no one will be able to claim the credit. You will not need to defend yourself. The results will testify on their own. I do not bless you to prove that they were wrong. I bless you to show that I am real. Yet as you step into the new, your heart will be tested. What will you build with what I give you? Will you use this new name and influence to lift others up, or to build a kingdom of your own? I need you to remember this blessing is not a prize. It is a trust. What I place in your hands is not meant to be stacked away in a storehouse, but to flow out like a river. What I pour into your life is meant to reach others. Do not close the flow. Do not hoard. Do not think this is the destination. This is only the beginning of a journey with far wider impact. For there are people waiting on the other side of your obedience. They do not know who you are, but they are hungry for what you carry. And as you share, as you refuse to keep the blessing for yourself, I will go on filling you again and again. I am lifting you up, not so that you have something to post, but so that you have something to pass on. I want others to look at you and have to say, "Surely God is with this one." I want every detail to come to pass, not to prove that you were right, but to reveal that I am the one who never forgets a promise. Those who once rejected you, who once did not understand you, will not be paid back, but will be touched through your very life. For this is how I work. I turn once broken stories into instruments of salvation. I use those who were once rejected to reach those who have themselves been rejectors. Now everything has been arranged. Nothing is holding it back any longer. No door remains locked. The door is open, but the important question is, will you step through? This is a holy moment, not a random coincidence, but a time marked out before you ever existed. You are living in a chapter that was ordained to display my glory, and every part of your life, even the things you wish you could erase, is contributing to a message that will touch many. Do not fear. Do not stop. And do not think you are too small to carry something great. It is precisely your humility that is the foundation for the kingdom I am establishing. You are a page on which I am still writing with the ink of faithfulness. Do not compare the manuscript I am writing in you with anyone else's story. I do not repeat myself. Every stroke of my pen on your life is unique. You have asked before, can anything good come from me? And today I answer not only good, but something that will shake others awake. Yet, my child, remain in this atmosphere, in my presence, in humility, in attentive listening, for I still have much to say to you, many deeper layers of revelation, many things greater than anything your eyes have yet seen. Your story is not a casual anecdote to be told for entertainment. It is living evidence that there is a God, the one who sees through all things, who understands all things, who turns ashes into a crown. And when people see you walking in blessing, in wisdom, in a steadiness that is not shaken by circumstances, they will not praise you. They will turn their gaze toward me, for that is what I desire. There are seasons in your life when you cannot explain why your heart suddenly feels lighter, even though your outward circumstances have not yet changed. That is when a shift in the unseen realm has quietly taken place, without noise, without fireworks, yet powerful enough to shake every deep layer of your soul. I did not wait until you were strong enough to intervene. I acted right when you felt at your weakest. Not because I was waiting for you to be worthy, but to show you that my grace always goes ahead of you, is always greater, and always surpasses every standard you thought you had to meet. And you will look back and wonder, why is my heart no longer as heavy as before? Why have the questions that used to echo in my mind fallen silent? Because I am repositioning your life, not on the map of your emotions, but on the blueprint I drew for you from the beginning. The wisdom you are about to step into is not the kind that comes from books or from human words, but a kind of understanding that springs from my presence. As you sit in stillness with me, seeking nothing but me, not demanding solutions or proofs, but simply allowing your heart to soften, you will begin to sense a level of revelation you have never known before. What once caused you to sway will no longer hold power over you. The criticisms that once lodged in your mind like poisoned arrows will be rendered powerless. I am making your spirit sharp, not so that you can be more incisive than others, but so that you can discern what is true. What is my voice? what must be released, and what must be held fast. This is the time in which I am giving you new spiritual ears, ears that are not distracted by noise, not misled by flattery, and not driven by fear. The peace you are about to live in is not a shallow kind of calm, but a deep rest, the place where you no longer need to do something in order to be loved, no longer have to prove yourself in order to be accepted, and no longer strain to keep everything in your own hands so that you will not be hurt again. You will live as one who knows without a doubt that you have a Father, and that this Father is holding everything you cannot hold. And because you know this, you will begin to release what is no longer needed, the worries that do not belong to you, the responsibilities that did not come from me, the distorted expectations you once placed upon your own shoulders. You will come to see that not everything that feels heavy is right, and not everything you are capable of doing is something I have assigned to you. This clarity will not come from thinking more, but from allowing me to shine more fully within you. You have lived as though you were always in a state of having to rescue something, a relationship, an old dream, an unfinished plan. But there will come a moment when I show you that some things are saved, not because you cling to them, but because you dare to release them into my hands. In this season, I am teaching you how to walk in trust, not only in your words but in concrete actions, the actions of someone who is no longer controlled by the fear that if I let go, I will lose. On the contrary, you will see that it is precisely when you dare to let go, not in bitterness but in surrender, that you make room to receive what is new. And this new thing will not arrive in a rush. It will come like a gentle rain, just enough to soak the driest ground within your heart. This is the time when I am breaking the old assumptions you have been living by. The words people once spoke about you, and you chose to believe, even though they had no right to define you, have taken root in your mind, like a twisted version of the truth. I am pulling those roots up from the very depths, not to make you hurt, but to heal you at the root. For if you do not allow me to touch the root, you will keep treating the symptoms and never truly become whole. You will no longer live according to scripts written by your wounds. You will begin to live as one who is rewriting your story together with the Father. And in this new story, you will not be a timid supporting character, but one who carries holy weight, one who has a voice, one who lives from real connection rather than from the falsehood of an image. I am not calling you into crowds to search for affirmation. I am calling you into the quiet place to be filled. For from that hidden place, what flows out will no longer be your own agenda, nor something you have copied from others, but what springs from a living relationship. You will no longer speak like someone reciting from memory, but like one who has been with me. And others will sense this, not because you are impressive, but because you are genuine. They will be drawn, not by glitter or show, but because there is something deeply real and alive within you. And that is where my glory will begin to be revealed, not through performance, but through presence. The strength I am forming in you is not the strength of someone who does not know pain, but the resilience of one who has walked through many dark seasons and yet has refused to grow numb. It is the strength of someone who dares to open their heart again, to trust again, to love again, to live truthfully, even knowing it makes them vulnerable. But I will be the safe place where you recover, the solid ground beneath your feet, the sheltering wings under which you can lean and rest. From that place, you will learn to forgive, not because the other person deserves it, but because you have been forgiven much. You will learn to give, not because you are overflowing in yourself, but because I am a source that never runs dry. And you will walk as one who has discovered the secret of living lightly, because you have stopped carrying what no longer needs to be held. The questions you have wrestled with in your heart, am I wrong? Am I just imagining things? Is what I hope for even real, will gradually lose their grip on you. Not because every question is neatly answered, but because you will learn how to live without always needing an answer. You will learn to trust with a quiet spirit, no longer panicking when everything seems silent, no longer rushing just because you see others moving ahead, no longer envying when others are recognized. You will live according to the rhythm of heaven, unhurried, steady, and secure like a tree planted by a stream. There is no need to hurry, because you know your roots are going deep. No need to show off, because you know your fruit will come. No need to strive and grab, because you know your portion has already been assigned. I am opening a door for you, not only for you to walk through, but so you can invite others to come along. You will become a keeper of keys, not because you are clever, but because you have allowed me to teach you. And that key is not a strategy, it is a way of life. A life that is simple, yet profound. A life that does not need to show off, yet carries a quiet influence. A life in which every small decision is guided by peace, and you will know when to speak and when to wait, when to laugh and when to be silent, not out of fear of making a mistake, but because you are moving in step with me. Beloved, this is no longer merely a season of preparation. This is a transition. A new phase is beginning. Not with loud bells and fanfare, but with quiet steps that carry deep conviction. You will walk under my guidance. Walk with an inner life that is steadfast. Walk with eyes widened by vision and a heart light enough to rise with the wind of the Holy Spirit. What is old has passed away, and what is coming is no longer vague. And you will not enter as a beggar asking for scraps, but as one who is being welcomed into a share of an inheritance that was set apart for you before time began. In this new phase I am leading you into, I am not merely arranging a few minor external changes or adding a bit of temporary comfort. I am opening before you an entirely different space of living, where the old limitations no longer bind you as they once did. I am giving you not only visible resources, but also the capacity to step into territories that have long seemed closed to you, spheres, places, and environments where, no matter how hard you tried in the past, you could only remain on the outer edges. I am orchestrating it so that you will be brought near to people who function like doors for the purpose I have placed on your life. People for whom a single conversation, a handshake, or a simple introduction can open the way to opportunities you had never imagined. I am also giving you discernment to grasp information, instructions, and insights that you once overlooked or were not sensitive enough to notice. Yet these very things will change the way you see your circumstances, evaluate situations, and make choices. In the past season, you grew weary from knocking on one door after another, trying every possible option, hoping that somewhere a door would be moved with compassion and open. Yet again and again, you were left only with exhaustion. But now I want you to see something different. I am no longer leaving you to grope your way down endless corridors lined with unresponsive doors. I, myself, will take you by the hand and lead you to the exact place where you are meant to stand, right in front of the entrance that has long been appointed for you without your knowing it. You will recognize the difference when I move. It will not be luck, nor coincidence, but the imprint of deliberate design. I am shortening the winding paths, not because I am allowing you to skip the lessons, but because over the years you have kept walking, choosing faithfulness in quiet, small tasks that others considered insignificant. That very hidden perseverance is the reason I am now accelerating the pace. For you now have the foundation to bear the new speed of my work. What is coming toward you is not meant for a mind in turmoil or a heart weighted down with unnecessary baggage. So before you step into it, I am inviting you to lay down your anxieties, your futile struggles, and the obsessions you have mistakenly treated as part of your personality. The places where you once met constant rejection, misunderstanding, or were blocked by inexplicable reasons are now the very atmospheres I am changing. Perceptions will shift. Attitudes will shift. And you will see the very spaces that once wounded you become the places where you are welcomed, not because you have tried harder to win people over, but because I am touching the circumstances, straightening what has been crooked, and fixing doors that were hung on the wrong hinges, the ones you had already decided were too broken to ever be repaired. Alongside all of this, I am also doing a deeper work within you, a work no one else can see. Yet it is the very core of this whole process. I am entering every corner of your thinking, the mental ruts you have allowed to form over the years, and gently, yet decisively, I am separating them out. The words others hurled at you in anger, the comparisons, the put-downs, the harsh judgments you unconsciously embraced, like labels stuck to your forehead, I am using my own hand to peel them off. One by one, I am also touching the words you have spoken over yourself. The bleak conclusions you have made about who you are. I am nothing. I only cause trouble. I will never be able to do it. Those sentences have hardened into chains that bind your vision, causing you to measure your life through the distorted lens of failure and fear. Now I am not only removing the chains, I am uprooting the very place where they were anchored, so they can never come back and bind you again. I am replacing each lie with truth spoken from my own mouth. You are my child. You are chosen. You are valuable. You have a place in my plan. You are not forgotten or shelved in some dark corner of the universe. As my truth enters the places that have long been filled only with the voices of shame and inferiority, you will feel a kind of vitality rising within you that you have never known. Your mind, instead of racing toward worst-case scenarios, will begin to imagine with me the good that could unfold. You will no longer use your intellect merely to shield yourself from disappointment, but to partner with me in creative ideas, new strategies, and bold steps that are still marked by peace. Moving from simply reacting to life, you will step into actively walking alongside me, and in this process, you will feel a very unusual kind of strength rising within you. It is not the kind that comes from pretending to be strong, from bracing yourself and just enduring, or from wearing the mask of "I'm fine" in front of everyone. This is a strength that comes from a deeper place, from your trust that I am with you, that I am backing every step you take, that I do not let go halfway through. That strength will enable you to stand in places where, in the past, you only wanted to lie down and give up. It will lead you to speak truth where you once only dared to remain silent, to step up and take responsibility where you once made excuses to avoid it, to begin projects you always assumed were meant for someone else. You will have moments when you ask yourself, "How am I able to do this? Why am I no longer trembling like before?" And I will answer in your heart, "Because this is the strength I have given you, not something you have squeezed out of yourself." When this new flow of my power moves through you, you will realize that the rhythm of your life has been aligned with mine, not so slow that you miss the season, and not so rushed that you are drained. I will teach you to pause at the right moment, to be replenished in me, to move forward at the right time, to seize opportunities, to say no to things that seem good but are not in my will, so that you have room for the very best that I have prepared for you. In the past, you often tried to prove your worth by taking on everything, saying yes to every request, striving to be everywhere, doing all you could in order to be acknowledged. But in this new season, I will teach you to rest in your true identity, so that you no longer have to push yourself to do more just to fill the sense of lack inside. You will learn to choose with intention, because you clearly understand what you have been sent to do. Then, the resources I pour into your life, your gifts, your time, your relationships, even your finances will no longer leak away into things that only exhaust you. but will become focused. Powerful streams that bring real impact. You will also realize that the very areas once considered shattered, the parts of your life once labeled ruined, are now the very places where I reveal my greatest glory. I do not erase your history, but I rewrite its meaning. I do not dismiss your tears, but I use them as the very material that waters the ground I am preparing to bloom. You will find that you are no longer ashamed to tell of the darkest stretches of your journey, because in them you now recognize my footprints beside you. And that is what turns a sad story into a testimony with the power to transform hearts. As you walk in this new flow, you will not only sense change in your own life, but you will also see its effect spreading to those around you. The peace you carry will soften tense atmospheres. Your openness will help others dare to voice what they have hidden. And the courage you show will strengthen weary hearts that no longer wanted to rise again. That is when you truly understand that what I give you never stops with you, but is always designed to keep flowing out, to touch, to heal, and to uphold many others. And in all these things, I continue to whisper into your heart, do not be afraid. I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I have already gone before you. When you give me the right to rearrange everything from the environments where you set your feet, the doors you walk through, to even your most hidden thoughts, you will find that you no longer live in a state of striving to keep control, but in complete trust. That is where you step into true freedom, no longer held back by the past, no longer defined by others, no longer dragged around by circumstances. You are free to live as one who belongs to me, upheld by the strength that comes from me, and drawn into the new flow of grace I have begun to release in your life. My beloved child, the changes you are beginning to see around you, whether quiet or obvious, are all within my ordering. Do not let your mind be thrown into confusion, because connections that once seemed so close are quietly drifting away. I know this makes your heart ache, leaves you surprised, even unsettled as you wonder why it is happening. But my child, this is not rejection, nor is it proof that you have done something wrong. It is protection. It is how I prune the vineyard of your life so that it can bear more fruit. There are people who were meant to play a role in one season, but they are not appointed for the next. And if you keep holding on to them merely for the sake of memories, you will unknowingly prolong your own stagnation. I do not allow everything to continue simply because it once felt comfortable. There are times when old friendships withdraw quietly, without fanfare and without any explanation. You call it a loss, but in truth it is preparation of the way. For if those people were to remain, they would become noise in your heart, making it harder for you to hear what I am whispering. I do not require them to leave in bitterness, but I do need your heart to be willing to let go. For the blessing I am leading you into requires focus. It requires an inner life no longer divided between what is old and what I am making new. And then you will begin to see what I am bringing in its place. The stillness you mistook for emptiness will gradually be filled with other people and hearts that I, myself, send, not to fill an emotional void, but to resonate with you in the spirit. These will be relationships that do not require pretending or strain, where you do not have to hide or shrink back for fear of being judged. With them, you will sense peace, because they carry the same heartbeat as mine. You will not need to defend your faith, nor explain why you choose to live for me, for they understand. They are living the same way. They are sent not only to walk alongside you, but to strengthen your hands in this new journey. These connections will not arrive with loud echoes, but will take root out of a deep harmony, as though you had known them for a very long time. I have prepared room for them to step in not only into your life, but into your calling. They will not drain your spiritual life, but will be those who encourage, shelter, and remind you of my words whenever you grow weary. You will not have to strain yourself to maintain these relationships. For I myself am the one who sustains the connections I have made holy. My child, do not waste your time trying to analyze why everything is changing in this way. I have already seen what you cannot yet see. I know exactly what you will need for the coming season in your spirit, in your emotions, and in your spiritual strategies. Every piece already has its place. All I ask is that you keep your heart soft, not resisting, not sealing it, shut out of fear of being hurt again. Let me lead you. Let my spirit guide you to the right people, the right places, at the right time. When your heart is opened in obedience, you will be amazed to see how everything locks into place in a mysterious way, not rushed, not frantic, but gentle, natural, and yet perfectly precise. And when you look back, you will understand it was not you who managed to make everything work out. It was I, by my own loving and wise hands, who arranged it all so that you would not merely survive, but live victoriously and more meaningfully than ever before. So, my child, do not cling to what is fading. Believe that if I allow one door to close, it is because I have already prepared another way, not just a path, but a journey, not just companions, but those who are called to walk with you all the way to the finish. Keep moving forward in trust, for what lies ahead is not only something new, it is what is right. It is what has been arranged uniquely for you, and when you step into it, you will no longer doubt that indeed all things work together for good for those who love God. Romans 8:2-8, my beloved. This is the time for you to look back over your life, not through the eyes of wounded memories, but through the eyes of healed faith. What once were cracks, shadows, things that made you bow your head in shame or regret, I am turning into connecting points, foundation stones, pillars for the solid work that is about to be raised up in your life. I know there are parts you once wanted to erase, wished had never happened. Times when you asked me, why did you allow that to happen to me? Yet now I come not to explain, but to change the meaning. It is not that I wanted you to suffer, but I will not allow that suffering to be wasted. For in my hands, nothing is wasted. Not one cut is meaningless. Not one tear is forgotten. In the years when you felt abandoned, I was there not to judge, but to preserve. Each time you collapsed, thinking you could never stand again, I recorded it as part of the journey of a soul being refined. Those dark experiences were not meant to destroy you. They have been enriching the depths of your spirit. The brokenness you saw as a burden, I see as openings through which my light can enter. And it is from these very places that true wisdom begins to form, not from success, but from survival, not from being comforted, but from those times when you held on to faith even when there was nothing left to cling to. Be careful not to brush off your past as though it had no value, for when you reject it, you are also refusing the portion of truth I sowed right in the very things you now regard with shame. You may not like what you went through, but it is precisely those experiences that are forming a spiritual authority others cannot gain merely from theory. I do not only want you to be healed, I want you to become one who carries healing to others. And to do that, you cannot live as though you had never been broken. You need to be able to say, yes, I failed there, but now I am living proof that grace can rebuild from the ashes. I did not make a mistake when I chose you. I know every detail, every hidden corner, every dark chapter of your story. I did not hesitate to sign my name over your destiny, because I do not shape you according to your failures, but according to my ability to turn all of them into something useful for a higher purpose. As Joseph once said, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. Those words now belong to you as well. People may leave. They may wound you. Opportunities may seem to have passed. Years may appear wasted, but none of it lies outside of my hand. I am the all-knowing, all-powerful one. And if you let your whole life belong to me, then not a single part of it will be without meaning. You are stepping into a time that is no longer random and no longer aimless. The pieces that once seemed scattered are now being fitted together by my hand to become a picture with intention. Where there was emptiness, I am filling it. Where there was chaos, I am rewriting the rhythm. Where there was dead ground, I am bringing it back to life and turning it into an orchard of ripe fruit. But for this to happen, you cannot go on living as someone who only borrows, borrowing an identity, borrowing the faith of others, borrowing an outward righteousness. I want you yourself, real, rough, not yet perfect, but wholly surrendered. I do not need you to bring me what is already perfect. I need you to bring me everything, even what you are trying to hide, so that I can use all of it to shape a life whose power goes beyond your personal experience. A life that becomes a channel for the transformation of many others. My child, do not think it is too late for you. Do not assume that because you have stumbled many times, you now ought to live a just enough life. No, I did not create you for a life that is merely adequate. I have called you out to live a life marked with an eternal imprint. And that does not begin when you succeed. It begins when you dare to step forward with all your past failures and declare God still chooses me. For in my kingdom, authority does not come from a spotless resume, but from true, new birth. Now is the time for you to look back at every chapter of your life, not to complain, but to offer it up, not to deny it, but to bear witness, not to try to forget, but to proclaim that everything that has passed is leading toward a clear purpose, and you will see that nothing has been discarded. No memory is useless. You will begin to understand why you had to walk through dark detours, so that now, as the light appears, you know how to cherish every step you are about to take. Let me use the whole story of your life, the years of waiting, the dreams that seemed shattered, the people who left, the moments when you felt you had already given up. All of it will become bricks in the foundation of the calling you are being invited to step into. I do not need you to erase any chapter. Keep them, because one day you will tell them again, not with tears, but with a holy kind of pride, saying, "This is where God rescued me. This is where grace began. This is where the new story started." Now, in the deep silence of your heart, open your whole soul and offer me a prayer without hiding, without reserve. Hold nothing back. Speak as if this were the first time you truly believe that I am listening, and I truly am listening. Beloved Father, now that my heart has grown quiet amid so many voices from the world, I bow my head, no longer with noise or impatience, but with a true brokenness in my spirit. I do not come to you to ask for something new, but to ask for the courage to live honestly what you have already spoken. So many times you have knocked at the door of my heart. So many times I have been moved and then turned away. I cannot even count. But today, I do not want to stop at mere emotion. Please, touch the deepest part of me, the place no one has ever reached. The place I once locked away because I was afraid to believe again. Please grant me a new will, a genuine decision, so that I can rise and live true to your calling. I do not want to live a faded life. Father, I do not want to fall away from the vision you have already written. Please soften my heart, lift off the burdens, and bring me back to the very place where I belong. Father, perhaps this is the first time in many years that I dare to look straight at myself, not with a critical eye, not to justify myself, but to admit that I have lived beneath what you intended. I have chosen safety instead of obedience, calm instead of walking by faith, I have turned your calls into beautiful words and phrases instead of living words that lead me day by day. Father, please forgive this delay. Please rescue me from the spiral of self-accusation and the silent resistance in my heart. I am not asking to be perfect. I am only asking for one honest step each day. Help me to begin again, even with tiny steps, so that in the end I may hear you say, "You have lived just as I created you to live." Oh God, my heart is heaving with something I can no longer hide. I need you more than ever. Not in the sense of begging for an instant miracle, but I need a change that reaches to the very roots. Please do not let me go on living with a beautiful exterior while I am decaying inside. Teach me to choose obedience instead of passing emotion. Teach me to step in and commit myself instead of only dreaming. Tear off the mask I have worn because I was so afraid of being hurt. And please help me to live with courage and honesty, to live as a channel, not holding back, not closed off, not delaying. Loving Father, I thank you because you never grow weary of my heart, even when I so easily forget, or doubt, or fall. You still patiently wait for me to return. I thank you that you do not use my weakness as a reason to reject me, but you use it to display your compassion. Each time I open my eyes to the dawn, I know that you are still writing the story of my life, and every line of it is soaked in unchanging love. Loving Father, I thank you because you never grow weary of my heart, even when I so easily forget, or doubt, or fall. You still patiently wait for me to return. I thank you that you do not use my weakness as a reason to reject me, but you use it to display your compassion. Each time I open my eyes to the dawn, I know that you are still writing the story of my life, and every line of it is soaked in unchanging love. I offer this prayer in the holy name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong community of faith.